Tanse, I'm Krisanachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. Residents in the Ginoogaming First Nation in Ontario, located 315 kilometers northeast of Thunder Bay, just off Highway 11, are being advised to shelter in place as police search for two suspects believed to be armed and dangerous. Both the Anishinaabe Police Service and the Ontario Provincial Police says they are searching for two black male suspects believed to be in Ginoogaming. Police say one is taller than the other one, and the taller male is wearing an all-gray jogging suit and has braided hair, while the shorter male is wearing black pants and black shoes. Residents are asked to shelter in place as a precaution and lock all doors and windows and do not pick up any hitchhikers. All schools in Long Lac and Long Lake First Nation have also been closed, including the Long Lac campus of Confederation College. A K-9 unit, the OPP's emergency response team, and police drones are also in the area to find the suspects. Police did not say what the males are wanted for. If anyone sees anything suspicious in the area, you're asked to contact the Anishinaabe Police Service or the OPP. First Nations leaders were in Ottawa on Tuesday to show their opposition against a proposed nuclear waste disposal site at Chalk River, 180 kilometers northwest of Ottawa. They were joined by federal politicians at a press conference on Tuesday afternoon. The Canadian Nuclear Safety Council approved the construction of the disposal facility in 2024. However, it was challenged in court by the Quebec First Nation in Quebec. Federal court agreed Canadian Nuclear Laboratories, or CNL, has not met its duty to consult and failed to protect species at risk in its proposal. CNL has since applied for a judicial review of both decisions, the first of which is scheduled to go ahead Wednesday morning at the Federal Court of Appeal in Ottawa. Assembly of First Nations National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Neepanak was at Tuesday's press conference and says she too is against the disposal facility.
So the Assembly of First Nations will extend our support to the highest levels required in this case because First Nations have responsibility to our traditional territories that we hold sacred. These are our responsibilities and they are for the future generations. These are our rights and they are not for sale.
Indigenous and non-Indigenous leaders from the Northwest Territories also traveled to Ottawa on Tuesday. They held a press conference to talk about current project developments in the territory. They want federal support for key developments such as securing energy resources, defending Arctic sovereignty, building infrastructure, and developing the Northwest Territories' reserves of critical minerals. The delegation emphasized that any of these goals can only be realized by partnering with Indigenous communities.
And this conservation through the IPCA and the PFP has gotten us to that table where we can actually have enough resources to have these conversations. We're doing it in partnership with the Government of Northwest Territories. The Indigenous communities are all involved. Like I said, we have unprecedented agreement between 23 groups in the Northwest Territories and the territorial government and the federal government. Like it's never happened.
Mi'kmaq land protectors attended the Assembly of First Nations National Conservation Gathering in Membertou First Nation in Ginoogaming in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, to raise awareness about Mi'kmaq stewardship of Hunter's Mountain, where land defenders have been attempting to protect the mountain from clear-cutting. APTN video journalist Angel Moore reports.
I'm here at the Membertou Trade and Convention Centre in the Membertou First Nation, Ginoogaming, Mi'kmaq for Cape Breton. First Nations from across the country are here in discussions with conservation organizations and federal agencies to focus on relationships with nature and stewardship. The Mi'kmaq land protectors drove from Hunter's Mountain about an hour to attend the AFN Conservation Gathering. Cynthia Paul spoke to a few guest speakers about protecting Mother Nature.
Everything's all happening right underneath our feet, right in front of us. And when we're here today, there's many things that the subjects are not even being brought up. I end up going up there and talking about the 5 companies that were up there and talking about who owned them.
The Mi'kmaq Land Protectors checkpoint continues at Hunter's Mountain. A new provincial law says it's illegal to block or impede access to forest roads. The land protectors say they are willing to get arrested and face fines and/or jail time to protect the forest.
Me personally, I think it's going to be like the Oka crisis that happened, because the people here, we're not backing down. 6 months in jail is not much. You guys could put us in jail for 6 months. You guys could put us in there for a year. We're still going to come back here every time. We're Mi'kmaq. We don't stop.
Nova Scotia Regional Chief Andrea Paul was at the conservation gathering and has visited Hunter's Mountain.
The protectors that are at Hunter's Mountain, right, they're doing this not for fame, not for fortune. They do this because they want to protect all species for the next 7 generations.
Topics discussed at the gathering included conservation economies, honoring treaties, and traditional knowledge. Paul hopes protecting Hunter's Mountain forests from clear-cut is part of the discussions.
It's not being discussed here, and that's where some of us are looking in the background, but a lot of it is not being questioned and put out onto the table for all of us. But hopefully soon we can get more answers.
The gathering continues on Wednesday, where health and environmental justice, conservation through traditional balance will be on discussion. Meanwhile, the Mi'kmaq Land Protectors say they will never leave Hunter's Mountain. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Member 2 First Nation.
A joint police force investigation into cannabis grow operations on Tyendinaga Mohawk territory continues. Over the past few weeks, the police have raided and dismantled 4 sites and seized 72,000 cannabis plants with an estimated value of $122 million. According to a Tuesday media release, the Tyendinaga Police Service continued the operation by executing a warrant in the community on Tuesday morning. With the assistance of the OPP's specialty units, 7 people were arrested and all were found to be non-community members. In previous operations, 10 people have been arrested. 6 of them were also not from the community. While cannabis raids are common during this time of year, OPP Media Relations Officer Bill Dixon says these specific police operations in Tyendinaga are unique.
We have criminal organizations going on to Indigenous territory and taking advantage of that territory. We've got, none of the money that's being made is going into, or very little of the money, I would think, is going into the Indigenous community themselves. It's going back to these criminal organizations. And we know that criminal organizations use the cannabis production because it's a fairly low risk. I mean, cannabis is for the most part legal to some extent in Canada, but these criminal organizations are using the cannabis production funding to then go on and fund more serious and heinous things, including more serious and dangerous drugs.
Earlier this year, the government of Saskatchewan announced they were going to auction off Crown land on October 28th. Now, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe says the decision to do this somehow slipped past the duty to consult process, and those auctions will not be happening.
I think in fairness, this is a case just of where we got a little bit ahead of ourselves in that process starting again. And so we had a meeting here just this past week. The pause is going to continue and continue indefinitely.
A new Cree bilingual school held its official grand opening in Saskatoon. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We interviewed the main organizer in this story previously, but now we want to show you the story. It's estimated over 50 million buffalo lived on the Great Plains before being pushed into the brink of extinction. In a powerful act of resistance, a woman from the White Bear First Nation and others walked down Dudney Avenue in Regina, pulling buffalo skulls, seeking a street name change in recognition of the importance the buffalo once played in the area. CTV's Brittany Poitras has more.
Jolie Kekutue pulls 13 buffalo skulls down nearly 30 kilometers of Dudney Avenue, a road that carries a colonial legacy. She says this walk is about recognizing the erased history of the buffalo in Regina.
This was a community that was alive with buffalo, and wherever the buffalo were, we were. And so, that history isn't shared, and people like Dudney, made sure that wasn't.
Dozens of others have joined her to reflect on the colonial past of Edgar Dudney, while also honoring the buffalo.
We're honoring the Tatanga for being providers. Our goal is in the future that name is changed to Tatanga, to honor them, and that is reconciliation.
According to those in attendance, the walk is also about support, awareness, and healing.
What we're doing is to better our community, to bring awareness to who we are and to who our people are, like Indigenous people, and the history that we've had, and especially with the buffalo around the city.
For Kekutue, this walk is a reminder that Indigenous history extends far beyond Canada's colonial documents.
The province of Saskatchewan's only 120 years old. Our culture and history and language and connection is thousands and thousands of years old.
Organizers say there will be more walks in the future and more push to change the name of Dudney Avenue to Tatanga Avenue. Brittany Poitras, CTV News, Regina.
Last week, a brand new Cree bilingual school held its official grand opening in Saskatoon. Premier Scott Moe and Saskatoon Tribal Council Tribal Chief Mark Arcan both spoke about how schools like this are vital for reconciliation. APTN video journalist Rachel May has the story.
We're changing generations of children.
Saskatoon Tribal Chief Mark Arcand spoke at the grand opening of the Awasisa Gani Mito Chik St. Francis School in Saskatoon. The school's name means children who dance in Nehiawewin. The new school cost about $46 million and has space for up to 700 students. The first of them began classes in September. In addition to language programming, students will also learn drumming, traditional flute playing, and powwow. Arcand says the school holds a very deep and powerful meaning.
I think we're putting the Indian back in the child.
Premier Scott Moe was at the grand opening too. He said the new school is just the beginning of ensuring youth stay connected to their heritage.
And to really, take those steps forward together to build a brighter future for our children and for that next generation. And I think today, or whether it be in La Loche, a week ago today with the elementary school there, these are true examples of doing just that and using, the power that we have economically in the province to build schools like this that then become, great points of learning and centers for cultural activity and community activity as well.
Moe added that his government is open to building more schools that reflect other Indigenous cultures and languages to give children classrooms that celebrate their heritage. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
With publicly funded schools in Alberta now closed due to a recent strike, Hope Mission, a nonprofit, is doing what they can to help families until the teacher strike ends. APTN's Chris Stewart has more.
With the teacher strike across the province, workers and volunteers here at Hope Mission's main central hub are busy making sandwiches. Lots of sandwiches. Tuesday is the first day that Hope Mission starts delivering healthy lunches to Catholic schools across Edmonton. A sandwich, granola bar, a fruit and vegetable, and juice. Jared Jorstad is the Preventative Programs Director.
We are providing emergency school lunches for kids who would normally be receiving a lunch during the school day, but because obviously school's out, they are in need of these services because it's an emergency service. So the kids can go to these schools and receive a lunch.
And it takes a lot of teamwork to get the lunches prepared.
Every morning our team, we got some staff and some volunteers that will come in, and they will prepare the lunches starting around 8 a.m. Once the lunches are prepared, they go inside of a cargo van, and that cargo van will deliver to those schools before 11 a.m. And the lunches and the school support staff that are currently working right now will receive those lunches, and then as students come up to the doors, they will distribute those lunches.
And their other locations in Calgary and Red Deer are helping parents who need to work.
We're doing some day camps, so obviously with school being closed, they need a place to go so that parents can, who are working, two-parent households who are working 2 jobs, can go still to work, and we could care for their kids.
Primarily known for helping houseless people with meals and lodgings, women's and youth shelters. They need the generosity of people to continue what they have been doing since 1929.
We don't receive any government grants. It's all through just the generosity of individuals or companies that want to donate to us. So we rely 100% on people's generosity.
If you want to help, you can go to hopemission.com/donate. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
We now want to tell you about this week's second web poll question. Over on our website, we ask, are Canadians more supportive of Indigenous issues than in the past? You can answer yes, no, or unsure. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca/poll to have your say. The revival of Indigenous midwifery practices is making a comeback across the country. We'll tell you about one of those stories in the Mohawk territory of Kanesatake when we come back. Me, Gwetch, for staying with us. St. John's 20 and sunny, Charlottetown 21 and partly cloudy. Cartwright 10, Happy Valley Goose Bay 10 as well. Quebec City 13, Saint Jovite 15. Toronto 13 and sunny, Sault Ste. Marie 7 and sunny. Partly cloudy in Elliott Lake at 9, Wawa 7. Puckatawagan 7, God's Lake 4. Winnipeg +8, Dauphin 14. 8 in Regina, Saskatoon 9. Meadow Lake 12 and sunny, La Ronge partly cloudy and 11. Fort McMurray +10, Peace River 14. Lethbridge 11, Medicine Hat 16. 14 in Tofino and sunny, Vancouver 15. Sandspit 10, Smithers 13. Beaver Creek 4 and rain there, Mayo 5. 11 in Fort Simpson, Yellowknife 8 and rain. Tuktoyaktuk 4, Colville Lake 6. Baker Lake 6 and showers there, Chesterfield rain as well at 4. And Arctic Bay -9 and sunny, Iqaluit -1. Welcome back. The revival of Indigenous midwifery practices is making a comeback across the country. In Quebec, on the Mohawk territory of Kanesatake, the first home birth in 50 years took place. This happened shortly before the official opening of their new multi-generational women's space. And as APTN's Kim Sullivan reports, this space will be nurturing the community for generations to come.
So this is a rebozo, and it's a Mexican textile.
Dayutihene Nicholas and her colleague Patricia Gahanganolo Gabriel are birth keepers.
Red raspberry. It's a uterine tonic, so it's excellent for women.
Their role is to promote reproductive sovereignty, all while offering emotional, physical, and spiritual support to the women of the Mohawk community of Kanesatake.
It's really walking with women in a very deep way, and it's bringing all of our cultural, traditional teachings and our medicines and being very connected to community.
They also aspire to rekindle in women their connection to Mother Earth during childbirth, because that first stage of life is considered a sacred moment.
We have pictures from the first birth.
A few weeks ago, a healthy baby boy was born in this space, a first home birth in 50 years for the community.
It was really exciting. This one really hit different, that it was here in Kanesatake, where I grew up, and that I got to be a part of this huge moment.
Dayutihene gave birth in a hospital, and despite the 10 people present in the room, she felt alone.
It's over the bed because it's really good if you're pushing.
Becoming a birth keeper was one way to make sure that no other woman would ever feel the same way.
She was just so well supported and so well listened to, really heard and really understood, and made to feel that she was the center of what was happening, that she wasn't being told what to do, but we were asking her, where are you at? How are you feeling? What can we do for you?
Cultural revitalization is at the heart of the Kanesatake Health Center's mission.
This vision is in each and every one of us.
Executive Director Dayawan Nisa Rote Jeremy Tomlinson adds that it's culture at its widest form and cultural revitalization as a fundamental basis for lifestyles.
In Ganyageha, we say the word for culture is Zinyong Guarihota, which loosely translates to our ways. So our ways of doing all things, our ways of giving birth, our ways of raising children, our ways of educating ourselves, our ways of feeding ourselves, our ways of life.
It's with this in mind that the health center purchased the Zuguadade Haje farm, on which they've built the Digudadali Andale multi-generational space for women.
Social health, where do we start? It's really big, and that's a part of the vision of the Kanesatake Health Center. So we started with birth, and we looked at birth and how we can, get families healthy right from the start. And we said, wouldn't it be great if we had a birth space? And we made it happen.
The center offers services for women from all spectrums of life, from preconception to menopause.
Right now we offer moon teachings for the young girls, and then grade 5, 6, but through high school. We do ceremony for women for like healing, and then also for postpartum. And we offer a space for women to give birth.
The layout of the room reflects a clear intention to prioritize comfort and culture, all within a natural and peaceful environment.
We're so well surrounded by nature and all that it has to offer. So, you know, Mom went out and took a walk while she was in labor and just connected with the natural world around her. So it's not just this space, it's the entirety of where we are.
These birth keepers had quite the story about nature and the very first home birth.
She was like in like full on labor, like contracting. She was bent down and the skunk came out and he looked at her. And then he went on his way, and we were like, "Boss!" Like we were telling him, "Like, go on, like don't spray us now." But it was just like it seemed like all of creation really was holding its breath, like watching. This is like a big, significant thing that's happening here.
By giving women a space where birth can be experienced in respect of traditions, the land, and their autonomy, this place becomes much more than just a delivery room.
Because when a baby's born, like everybody's role is shifting. So how can we support that? So I just see everybody kind of coming together in a way that hasn't been done here for a long time. And even like within, you know, schools and the Elders Lodge, everything is so separate. So like this is a space where community comes back together.
Kim Sullivan, APTN National News, Mohawk Territory of Ganasatake.
Great story, Kim. And that's your daytime newscast for this Wednesday, October 8th. We're back again in a few hours with your evening newscast with more news stories. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hai hai miigwech masi cho kwana. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again. Akse.